What could a mother say on her son's happiest day that would leave the entire room in tears? At the dazzling wedding of Jung Hae and Jung So Minutes, an unexpected confession from the groom's mother silenced the crowd and turned joy into raw emotion. Stay with Hidden Korea as we uncover the shocking truth behind this unforgettable moment. The gardens of the Shilla Seoul had never looked more enchanting, under a sky brushed with pale sunlight and the scent of freshly bloomed roses in the air. Celebrities, journalists, and loved ones gathered for what was anticipated to be the most heartwarming celebrity wedding of the year. Jung Hae and Jung So Minutes were finally tying the knot. It wasn't just a union of two beloved actors, it was the culmination of years of friendship, unspoken admiration, and a private romance that had blossomed far from the public eye. The press had speculated, fans had dreamed, and now, reality was far sweeter than fiction. From the moment guests arrived, the energy was palpable. Laughter echoed through the venue, camera flashes lit up the marble walkways, and behind the veil of luxury, there was a quiet sincerity between the bride and groom that touched even the most jaded paparazzi. But no one, not even the couple themselves, could have anticipated what was about to happen. A single voice, trembling with emotion, would shift the entire atmosphere of the day. That voice belonged to Jung Hae-in's mother. The ceremony begins. Beauty, elegance, and love in the air. Jung So Minutes floated down the aisle in an off-shoulder Relais gown that shimmered like morning dew. Her veil trailed behind her, kissed by petals as the soft instrumental of Your Song by Elton John played in the background. Guests could be seen tearing up already, especially as Jung Hae-in, dressed in a tailored white tuxedo, looked visibly choked up upon seeing his bride. The ceremony was officiated by veteran actor Lee Seung-jae, who had worked with both Hae-in and So Minutes and held a special place in their lives. His speech was filled with warmth, nostalgia, and subtle humor. The exchange of vows was private, whispers only they could hear, but the way their eyes locked said it all. As the ceremony drew to a close and the reception began, everyone assumed the emotional peaks had passed. Little did they know, the real moment that would define the wedding was still ahead. A sudden request. The groom's mother takes the stage. Just after the cake cutting and the newlyweds' first dance, a quiet stir moved through the hall. Hae-in's mother, usually known for her reserved nature and aversion to media appearances, gently tapped the microphone and asked to say a few words. At first, the room responded with polite applause, expecting a sweet and short blessing from the mother of the groom. But the tremble in her hands and the flicker of emotion in her voice hinted at something much deeper. Jung Hae-in's eyes widened as he turned to face her. So Minutes instinctively reached for his hand. They were both unprepared for what came next. The confession that changed everything. First, I want to thank everyone for being here to celebrate the most important day of my son's life, she began, her voice shaking. I never imagined this day would come. Not because of him, but because of me. The room grew silent. Her words were not just sentimental, they were haunted. I need to confess something I have kept to myself for years, she continued. Something that nearly stopped me from accepting this wedding, and something I can no longer keep inside. The air turned heavy. I once asked So Minutes to leave Hae-in. A gasp rippled through the audience. It was a sentence so out of place, so painful, that it stunned even those closest to the family. Cameras stopped clicking. Waiters froze mid-step. Every eye was fixed on her. She doesn't know I'm telling you this, she said, turning toward the couple. But it's time I acknowledged the truth. Told her she wasn't good enough for my son. I thought I was protecting him. I thought I understood love better than they did. But I was wrong. Her voice cracked, and for a moment, even the microphone seemed too fragile to carry her confession. She walked away from him for a while, and he didn't know why. He was heartbroken. Said nothing, and her eyes welled up as she looked at So Minutes. She respected me enough not to reveal it. She carried that pain alone. For him. So Minutes' lips quivered, and Jung Hae-in looked utterly devastated. He leaned in, whispering something in So Minutes' ear, his eyes glistening with tears. She nodded, holding his hand tightly. From judgment to redemption, a mother's heart laid bare. I judged her too quickly, the mother continued. I failed to see her strength, her patience, and the way she loves him. not for the fame or fortune, but for who he is at his core. Mother bowed deeply in front of the couple. I am sorry. To both of you. Today, I do not just give my blessing, I give my gratitude. Thank you, so minutes, for still choosing to be part of this family, even when I gave you every reason not to. The room broke into applause, hesitant at first, then thunderous and tearful. Many guests were openly crying. The officiant wiped his eyes. The couple's response, love, forgiveness, and unity. So minutes stood up, walking to the microphone with tears running down her face but a serene smile. I kept it to myself because I understood her fear, she said. When you love someone, don't fight their family, you try to understand it. And I always believed that if we were meant to be, we would find our way back. She turned to her now mother-in-law and bowed. Thank you for giving us your heart today. Then, she faced Hee-in, who couldn't stop crying at this point. And thank you for loving me, even when you didn't know why I was gone. The entire room stood and applauded. As the reception continued, the confession became the only thing anyone could talk about. Celebrities exchanged glances. Industry veterans expressed shock at the bravery of the mother's admission. A few insiders close to the couple whispered that they'd always sensed a tension between So Minutes and the Jung family, but no one had ever imagined the full story. An actress seated near the family table told Hidden Korea, I've known So Minutes for 10 years. He's one of the kindest people in this industry. Hearing that she quietly stepped away from Hee-in for the sake of his family, it broke my heart. Others took to social media. Phones were strictly forbidden inside the ceremony for privacy. Word spread quickly. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a reckoning. Hee-in's mom did something that no Korean parent in her position would usually dare. Respect. Now I understand why So Minutes disappeared for months during their rumored breakup. And then came the wave of support, messages praising So Minutes' strength, its unwavering love, and even the mother's boldness in choosing truth over pride. The hidden years, why they separated in 2023. Though the public saw them as the perfect couple, insiders close to the pair confirmed that in mid-2023, the couple had gone through a quiet separation that was never publicly acknowledged. It now made sense. The root of it wasn't scandal, infidelity, or fatigue. It was a silent sacrifice demanded by a mother who feared for her son's future. A friend of So Minutes shared anonymously, she cried often, but she never spoke badly of his family. Kept saying, if it's real, we'll find our way back. Apostrophe, that's what love looks like. And they did find their way back. In early 2024, after almost a year apart, So Minutes was spotted attending the press premiere of Jung Hae's film Last Letter. Though she sat discreetly in the back, sharp-eyed fans noticed. That was the beginning of their return. Later that summer, the two were seen again, this time in Jeju Island. According to those close to them, and had found out about his mother's involvement during their separation. It caused a painful rift within his own family, but eventually, he made a choice. He wanted to be with So Minutes, no matter the cost. A private moment between mother and son. One of the most emotional moments of the day happened not during the ceremony, but later, in a quiet corridor behind the main hall. Unseen by most guests, only a few close relatives witnessed it. Hee-in's mother, visibly shaken after her confession, was sitting alone on a bench, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. That's when her son approached. No cameras, no audience, just a mother and her son. With trembling hands, she said, I thought I was doing what was right. I didn't want you to struggle the way I did in my own marriage. Hee-in sat beside her, silent for a few seconds. He whispered, Amma, I love you. But please, never ask me to live without the person who makes me whole. Tears streamed down both their faces. And then, for the first time in years, they embraced, no resentment. The kind of forgiveness that only family can give. One of the staff members who witnessed the moment said, I had to step away. It was too emotional. I felt like I was watching a drama, but it was real. So Minutes' quiet power, a bride who shows grace. Later that evening, during a toast, one of So Minutes' closest friends described her perfectly. She never raised her voice. She never blamed anyone. Just waited. And in doing so, She earned not just love, but respect. Indeed, so minutes as boys through it all had become the soul of the entire day. She could have walked away forever. She could have told the world what had been done to her. But she chose silence, dignity, and ultimately, reunion. Even Jung Hae's father, who had been quiet throughout the event, took the microphone later and simply said, "Today, I see not just a daughter-in-law, but a daughter." What the wedding meant to the industry and the public. In a culture where family expectations often define the trajectory of love, this wedding stood out. It wasn't perfect, it was painfully real, and that's what made it resonate. Industry veterans called it a cultural moment, one that would influence how future celebrity relationships are viewed. For fans, it was a reminder that even stars, those with flawless skin, glowing careers, and perfect Instagram lives, battle with the same wounds, fears, and longings as everyone else. But above all, it became a story about the power of truth, and the healing that comes when someone dares to say, "I was wrong." Final scene, a song, a promise, and a future. As the night drew to a close, and the couple prepared to leave for their honeymoon in Switzerland, a special surprise took place. Jung Hae took the stage with the guitar, an unplanned moment that even so minutes didn't expect. In a trembling voice, he sang Only Then by Roy Kim, the very song that had once played during their first unofficial date back in 2020. When he finished, he put down the guitar, took so minutes' hand, and said to the crowd, "She waited for me. And I will spend my life making sure she never waits alone again." The room erupted in applause, an applause not for fame, not for drama, but for love that had been tested, hurt, and still